How's it going? My name is Maud, and wow, it's been way too long since we've done any sort of video, let alone a world tour, as I think our last video was, yeah, 6 months ago. Now, although I haven't been recording and uploading much, I have built quite a lot, as you can see a little glimpse behind me, but that's just one build of many that we're going to tour today. Anyway, I think we should head on down this way. So in the last 6 months, I'd say, I've not only added a lot of expansions and additions to the world, but I've also made sure to add plenty of details on like our past builds. And I've also gone ahead and revamped a lot of old builds like over here. So, of course, this isn't completely done yet. There's still a lot of the upper floors that aren't finished, but the downstairs is looking pretty good so far. I tried to go for a white and gold sort of look. I think it really encapsulates like royalty, and I also think if I were to sprinkle a little bit of red, maybe a red carpet around here, it would also convey that message pretty well. So this is sort of just like a storage area. I don't know exactly what I'll put in here yet, but we'll figure something out. And heading back this way, there's going to be a staircase up here that leads to the main floor. This place will be more grand. I'm thinking about putting like maybe even an indoor tree in here. That might be a nice idea. So this is another area that's sort of been neglected ever since it was built a year and a half ago. I think this place has a lot of potential, but it's going to need a lot of work done to it, especially on the inside. And I think we're going to have to take a lot of inspiration from the European Japanese style castle that we built all the way on the other side of the world. There's also plans for this place to be a garden and head all the way back down here, where I actually attempted to make a sniffer farm for some plants, but unfortunately it just wasn't very efficient, and I could only end up finding one. Yeah, these things are kind of a pain to farm, but I think in the last world tour I went up here and showed out this area, which probably looks essentially the same other than, you know, a couple of dirt patches missing. But my entire goal with this place is to sort of trickle it down back into the natural terrain or make another mountain, who knows. We'll just have to see when the time comes. But before we get too distracted with all the plans that we have, I think I'll actually head to our next build up here. Which unfortunately doesn't have a path leading to it yet. Even the bridge isn't fully connected to our mountain. But of course, there's still a lot of work to do. Like I said, I need to connect this back to the mountain. And I think the biggest issue or project, I guess you could say, is doing the interior for this. Now, some of you guys might even recognize this build because I made a tutorial on it a couple of months ago, or maybe even a year ago now. I can't keep track of the time, to be honest. But as you can see, if we fly on in here, there's just nothing. There was a bed at one point, but that was it. Oh, hi, Mr. Iron Golem. I know there's a couple of elevator designs I could use, which could be pretty neat to get all the way up to the top, because this place is, it's no joke. It goes up pretty high. And a cool feature of this build that I wanted to show off is each place, or each floor I should say, has its own balcony that wraps all the way around, which I think could be utilized for something. I mean, otherwise it just gives great views, but it looks like the sun's setting, so you might be able to get a cool night view. And before I go to sleep, you might be able to notice my render distance is just out of this world. I'm using a mod called Distant Horizons, which makes it possible for me to crank up the render distance to hundreds of chunks, 200 chunks, even 1,000 chunks if I wanted to. But I also think I'll make a video on how to make your game sort of look like this and perform well at the same time. Anyway, here's an interior I did. This is where I like to live most of the time. Anyways, as the sun rises, I think we can head to our next area. Now you'll notice that this side of the world I'll tour later on because it's an older version of the world. Now, of course, we have our beloved castle with a lot more interior to it now, but this is a place I want to show off before we go over there. Now, in case you're a little bit disoriented, over here is where that pagoda was that we just went to, and then down over here, you might be able to get a glimpse of the trees, or even the roof of it, but that is the castle that we were just at, the Japanese castle. And you'll have to ignore some of the shulker boxes randomly placed. There are still a couple of areas that I'd like to touch up, and I just leave those there for convenience sake. But anyway, heading back down here, this whole thing is probably going to look pretty new, especially the left area here. Now, I haven't gotten around to making any sort of video on the back of the castle here, or even down this way, and I'll have to get to those reasons at the end of the video. This is pretty much the latest video we made, and of course, it's kind of a trend around here, but we haven't made an interior quite yet. It's just a lonely bed. But I'm coming over here because you get a great view of what we're going to tour, I think, after this next area, but what are the next areas we're going to go look at? And I also wanted to show off this beautiful view here, which I think is one of the greatest views that we have, or of natural terrain at least. I think it holds a lot of potential. I may or may not be planning something for a project down there later on. Anyway, since we're kind of done over there for now, we'll head on down this way. This way is one of the newest places that I've built up, especially when it comes to details like, you know, the bushes and the homes and the stable here. Now this stable, I don't even think I had one before. I had like a makeshift stable in one of my earlier builds down on the other section of the world. There isn't too much to say, to be honest. I tried to sort of make it correlate maybe to this house or to this house over here. Amethyst crystals all over the place. There's a couple here. There's a couple down this way as well that are sort of hidden. But I think they give sort of a nice pop in color, especially with these azalea leaves. It complements the purple with each other. But heading on inside, I have a little kitchen here. I have a ladder that, you know, theoretically you could go up here and store something, but there's nothing up here right now. But in here we have a cozy little bedroom, and I like the view here. I think it's quite quaint. You get a great view of the peak of the castle here, and of course you got your double bed and a little closet. Now I know that wasn't much, but I like this place. I think it adds a lot to the area. I've been trying to utilize azalea leaves a lot more often, and I think it's come up pretty well. But this next house, I have to say, is probably my favorite house in the entire world. I'm actually really proud of this, especially the interior. So not only do we have a lot of lush greenery around here, I think the nature on here I did really well. But we have a balcony, which is a new addition. It's sort of a new style I'll be doing. Anyway, I try to add plenty of detail around now. So there's a workbench here, as well as a nice sign that says welcome home on it. And heading on inside, I think this is a great interior that I did. This carpet here is made out of dead coral fans, and I think it really went well together. So of course you have a fireplace. This chair, I think I saw from Antler Boy. He has some great interiors, so I recommend looking at his channel. He does some great stuff. And over here, the dining room and the kitchen, the whole 9 yards. I thought that this was a nice idea for a sort of a refrigerator, and I added some campfires underneath here to make the stoves sort of smoke. Now down in the basement, there isn't too much going on, but I think this place has a lot of potential for like maybe a workshop or some sort of winery or something like that. If we head upstairs, we have our walk-in closet here, which actually is disconnected from the bedroom, which has another nice view. It's not as nice as the other, you know, house that I showed earlier, but it's still pretty good. And then we have the entrance to our balcony where you can relax, enjoy the ever beautiful view, maybe have a nice drink out here and enjoy the sunset. Also, a building tip that I have for anyone is it's pretty often if you're building at this sort of smaller scale that you'll run out of room for walls. Now this bedroom would have been kind of awkward to try and fit in with the balcony and the balcony entrance over here. So a tip that I have is to use these trap doors. And look, it looks just like a wall. It's hard to tell, and it adds like a nice texture to the background where you can add, you know, your bookshelves or chests, all that sort of thing. Now, heading on down here, this is one of the biggest projects that I've been working on lately. And if you thought the pagoda that we toured was huge, wait till you take a look at this. So I wanted to go for sort of a more jungle type of vibe here. I saw a comment a while ago that was talking about how a lot of our recent builds were a lot more open, like the flower fields with the temple, and they were sort of just comparing our old builds to our newer style of builds, where a lot of our older builds were a lot more compact, and our newer builds, like our temple with the flower fields, are a lot more open. So I thought I could almost pay homage to our older builds by building in this style. Now I tried to go with sort of a valley look, or a ravine rather. I want to have another waterfall down here, just like how there's a waterfall here that leads from. Well, right now it's nothing, but in here later on I'll have a big cave, and it could even be a hot spring of some sorts. There's plenty of ideas I have for down underneath here. And if you're new here, you might not realize, but a lot of this, almost all of it pretty much, is all unnatural terrain. It's all built by hand. So one of the main reasons my upload schedule can be a little slow at times is because of the sheer amount of materials that I not only need to collect, but also need to place down. It's just hours and hours of material collecting and placing, and even designing. It takes a long time to design these things. Something I recently added were these homes in the walls. Right now there's no interior to them. I think that this could be really cute to have just like a window sort of overlooking the water here. I'd also like to add some more tropical fish, birds, whatever I can to make everything seem, you know, a lot more lived in. Another idea I've had is to add like pens, cow pens, pig pens, sheep pens, that sort of thing. So these sort of homes are what I'm sort of going for. I'll replicate this sort of thing on the other side of the river here as well. And with these god rays coming down, it really romanticizes this place. I absolutely love it. It's pretty much exactly what I was going for. Another thing that I'm really happy with are these hanging lanterns that sort of come down. I used glazed terracotta and lanterns and banners, that sort of thing. It really adds a good pop of color, where this place was so green before with all the vines and trees and stuff. Even the grass and the water made it a little bit too green. So I think adding, you know, this little pop helped a lot. So if we keep walking down here, the river just continues on. And I will say these changes in elevation here with the water were an absolute pain. A lot of the time I would make this a source block and then it would just all flow all the way over here, even onto the land here. And it looked horrible. It looked ugly. It was just a pain. Over here, it sort of cascades into a waterfall that leads all the way down here, which I think looks great, and could even be another project that we work on. There's, you know, a million different things running through my head with this world. So that's pretty much it for the ravine here. If we fly back down into our ravine here, of course we have another shulker monster. This one's huge, with a whole bunch of stuff inside of it. But one of my intentions is to lead this path all the way up here, and to not only have it head this way, but to also wrap it around all the way over here, and to sort of follow this way all the way up here, so it links up to right about here. Now, I think this place has a lot of potential as well. As you can see, we have another house up here, and if we run all the way up the path here, I've done a lot of work with bone meal and lanterns and pathing, of course. The past couple of months, I've really been trying to up my path game, so I've made an addition of, you know, making mossy cobblestone a thing, more mud bricks and mud, and of course the old-fashioned coarse dirt. But there's also plenty of trees that I built here. I think it was something like 70,000 leaves I needed, and so I made it my mission for about a week. I think I just went on for an hour a day or so and just collected a bunch of leaves. And of course that gets boring quickly, so I would, you know, stop and go build stuff. But the next area I'll show off is right over here. This wasn't here before. This sort of ended right along this bridge. It was just, you know, a straight drop. But anyway, I made a path leading all the way down here to the house that I was just talking about earlier. I've really tried my best to make this sort of border from between the wheat here and the regular pathing. I added some fencing too to just switch it up from the regular leaves that we usually have. Anyway, heading down to the house here. It's not completely done interior. I think I could do a little bit better, but I'm pretty happy with it, especially the outside. I think the outside looks gorgeous. The azalea leaves here are wonderful, and I've been getting a couple of comments lately asking how I make the leaves pop out in 3D like this. I have a plethora of texture packs, but the one here is just an add-on. It's called the Better Leaves add-on by Jeremy Boy. He makes some great texture packs and add-ons, so I hope that can help with anyone's questions. But anyway, if we head on inside, we have, of course, our fireplace, and over here we have our kitchen, and in here, I think the best part of this house so far is actually the bedroom. And honestly, I think this house, especially in the living room, leaves a lot to be desired, so that'll be something I'll have to work on coming up soon. Something that I've realized after touring for, you know, a couple of years now is every time I do a world tour, I realized that there's so many different little things and little details that I could add. Just like how I was talking about I should spruce up the living room in here. Or I'm even noticing now that this bridge is a little bit plain, so I might add some texturing like stone or mossy cobblestone or something like that. Our next area we're going to have to go to is the back of the castle here, which we haven't even toured yet. So while we went up here, I wanted to take a minute and just turn around for a moment because I wanted to appreciate just this view here. When I first started this world, I didn't know what I was going for, to be honest. At the time, I didn't have any real knowledge of terraforming or block palettes or anything like that, but this really encapsulates what I wanted to do, even if I didn't realize it yet. So if we come back around up to the castle here, we have a bridge coming across here. A couple of months ago, after we built our flowers here and our temple over there, I ended up getting a new PC, or actually built it myself, and my world got corrupted. And this entire place was already built pretty much. And it's a shame because I ended up losing the world file and I had to go back around a month or so and rebuild the whole thing again. It was not fun. I lost a lot of motivation. I kept my hopes up and I eventually got through it. But I think in the end, this actually turned out better than it originally was. There's a couple of things I'd like to fix up here. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the towers, so I'd like to, you know, change those a little bit. But I think I did a good job with the bridge here. You also get a wonderful view of our pagoda that we initially toured. And of course, the end is the landscape in the distance. I think this is up to 260 chunks or something like that. It's pretty big. Over here is the courtyard. I built this tree actually like a week ago, not too long ago. But over here, I have a couple of different buildings. And here, I'd like to make this into like a pottery shop of some sort, or like a little workspace. You get a great view of the temple here, and of course, again, the pagoda. I keep talking about it. But I think the colors here really do a good job of popping out. And I'd like to add like a little balcony here so you don't, you know, you're not in danger of falling to your death here. But I think adding something like wagons or, you know, little things that make the town feel lived in, like these rocks here, add quite a lot to the place. So now if we head on down here, this just connects us down to the base of the castle. Oh, and it looks like we have little friends here. That's so weird. They just disappeared. Oh, there's another one. Oh my god, that's so weird. They're just gone. But anyway, if we head up here, there's a couple of new buildings that I built up here. We have, of course, our wall here that I think needs a little bit more love. And here, this is going to be sort of like a storage room. I'm thinking for wheat would be perfect. And over here, this is our newest building. I've attached, I tried to attach this place up to this building here, where you're just going to have a doorway here pretty much. Leads into here. Oh, and I just fell. But anyway, that's the plan. And here there's nothing so far. But over here, it sort of connects over here to this lookout position. But you got a beautiful view of the rest of our world here. And of course, you can cross the bridge here and walk over to our old edition of the castle over here. So I guess I'll head into the front entrance here. I think I went over this place in one of my older videos, but we have a little wine cellar here, but that leads this way into a meeting room and a closet. So here's the meeting room. Got plenty of books. And over here we have our closet. Nothing really in here right now. But one of the most detailed rooms here is this place. I think I did a nice job with it. You can, you know, cook things in here, store things. But if we were to head back, this is where the meeting room was. If we were to head back, we can go up the stairs here and over this way. We have our own little bedroom here, I think for, you know, sort of prince or someone of any importance really. But they have their own view of the bridge here that leads over to our communal area. And then heading back out of the room, we can cross over this way to our living room. There's some storage over here. Up this place is just a watchtower. That also connects over here to the rest of our building here with no interior yet. This also connects to our storage room here. I'm not going to show out the tower because it's nothing very interesting, but heading on down these stairs, we go back all the way to our living room down this way. And I almost forgot, if we cross back across the other side of the bridge again, we can head inside here. And I pretty much completely forgot to show this off. And here's the little dining room, like a mess hall for any soldiers or anything. And heading up here, we have our own bedroom. I think this is a little bit of a nicer bedroom compared to the old one. But you have your own little closet in here. Of course, you got plenty of storage. Your own walkway here. You can walk outside. And you have a great view of the rest of the castle and beyond. So, finishing off the castle tour. But if we head on down here, I think we'll head over here to our next part of the tour, which will be this pagoda. This is one of the best paths in this entire area, I'd say. I'm really glad that I put these rice fields around here. I think it adds a lot to the lake. And additionally, I added a pier here with a couple of boats. As you can see, if I zoom in close enough, there's a couple of tropical fish. There's actually quite a few, and some of them, for some reason, just sort of sit there. I don't know what's wrong with them. But anyway, heading on up here, this place hadn't had an interior for a long time. I want to say at least a year. Maybe 2 years. It was just sitting here completely empty. I'm gonna be honest, not all of it's done yet, of course, but the bottom floor is done. And then there's another floor here. Yeah, this place is pretty much finished. I can actually get rid of this bed now. Maybe I'll add, you know, some carpets or details on the floor, but it doesn't matter too much. You get some nice views into the rest of the world over here, and it'll pretty much just be a copy paste on the rest of the floors here, the higher you go up. But yeah, that pretty much just sums it up for this pagoda. Now this place, it needs a bit of love. I'm gonna be honest, it needs some love. A garden I think would do really well here. Maybe a small lake, somewhere to just hang out. Because, I mean, look at the views you get. You get a great, you know, glimpse of the castle. Great glimpse of the temple, and of course our beloved pagodas. These are the original twin pagodas you get here. Anyway, heading on back down this way. We can walk down this path here, which pretty much just connects us back down to the rest of the world. Now I've added a lot of flowers and coloring to really help this place pop, because initially it was just bland. There was so much stone here and just maybe a couple of leaves and whatnot, but that was really it. I've also made sure to knock down the original houses that were here. I'll put it up on screen right now, but our old houses looked, I think, horrible compared to these ones. These ones even have a little interior to them, which I think look quite nice. They're a little bit bland, and you know, there's a bit to be desired, to be honest, but overall I think it looks fine. There's a good amount of potential. You can have your bedroom in here, an office or something. But anyway, before we head down to our main pagodas here and our main Hikari no Machi temple, I think we ought to do a 180 and go flip around and go check out this area, because there's a whole lot over here as well. So this is a place that I think needs some work. It needs at least an interior, if not a redone exterior. It's pretty old. Now, before I built here, this mountain right here used to connect all the way to this mountain. It looked pretty bad for a while, I will say. Heading over here, there's a little pond with not too much right now, but of course this chicken has been here for ages. I don't know what he's doing here. Why do you like this place so much, huh? Anyway, I'm just gonna ignore this for now. We'll get back to it. I think in one of our newer episodes, or one of our, upcoming episodes, I'm gonna do a huge, I guess, time lapse of me just revamping a whole bunch of stuff, and that sort of thing included. But walking up here, we have a new entrance. Before it was just, nothing. It was just bland. It looked horrible, and now it's still bland, but it doesn't look completely horrible. And then a little bit of stonework here, and wow, look at me, I even put some texturing into the floor, which we'll have to fix up, but it's a start. Heading on over here, this is one of the areas I started my world tour in the last world tour last year. It hasn't developed too much, I'll be honest. I think I've added, maybe a couple of wheat fields or something. I added this bridge, I know that, and I also detailed this arch a little bit more. But over here has really been the main area I've been putting a lot of attention to, because I felt that it had the most potential at the time. It's kind of difficult to show where I am right now unless I head up here. Yeah, here we go. So that's the pagoda we toured not too long ago. Here's the house with all my birds and where I usually sleep at. And then up here is the original castle that we toured. Coming up here, I think I toured this last time as well. This is still one of my favorite views in the area, just because of the view you get right here. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Like, I really don't know if there's a view that tops this one. And even before this existed, I used to just come up here and just admire this sort of area because I thought it was great already. So having this whole place just really adds so much. But before I get too distracted with the views, coming in here, I ended up adding an interior. I'm really proud of this place. It's so cramped that it was really difficult to do. But, adding things like a little cacti in here and some paintings, and especially the bookshelves, I think add a good amount of color, a healthy amount of color, and, crampedness as well. But there isn't too much to be said here. But anyway, let's head back on down, and we'll head to the next location. Alright, now we've walked all the way from down that way where that little house is with, the view of here. We've walked all the way down this path pretty much. Here's the archway I was just talking about earlier. But this place is another jungly area, I want to say, or where I plan to have a lot of jungly area. Right now, over here is a little bit bland, but trust me, there's a lot of potential. I planned out a lot of this already in my creative test world, but I just never got around to it. I got, caught up in other things like the other end of the world, or working on our castle, or working on, a lake or something, or even just brushing up the older areas. So I think this place is next when it comes to revamping and reviving, because I think it does hold a lot of potential still. I'm just a little bit stuck creatively on what I want to do here. Anyway, this path I plan to lead all the way down this way, hop on over to where there will be a house right here, covered in plenty of bushes and trees, and that has a a great view of our Beacon's Keeper's Quarters, our little temple here that we built in, I think, our second or third episode. I think third episode, where we built this whole huge lake down here, along with the custom terrain behind it. Heading back onto the path here with our archway, we can head up these stairs that lead all the way up the mountain here, which is another new addition to the world that I haven't had the chance to show off yet. So of course we have a small path leading into this tower here. It's more like a watchtower, I want to say. But anyway, this path winds all the way along this mountain through the bridge here. Now, unfortunately, there's a whole place here where it needs a lot of developing, but overall, I think, there's plenty of potential. I'll show it off right now since we're already here, but this is where I used to get a lot of my stone, until I realized I could just make a cobblestone farm and then use my super smelter, which I'll show off in a little while, to make stone. And that's how I get a lot of the stone for these sort of projects, or, all the custom terrain that I do. So yeah, that's my cobblestone farm. And here is, I think, my favorite farm, just because it makes my life so much easier. But we have a tree farm. I mostly use it for spruce wood, birch logs, and oak logs. Here's our original bridge that we built. We made a whole video on it. I'll put a link up top right now so you can go check it out. But this place, I think, is, brilliant, as well as a lot of the other views we have, of course. But if we fly down here, this leads to a pretty quaint, cute area. A waterfall up here. It leads all the way down. If I'm not mistaken, there should be... yeah, maybe not up here, but there should be fish all the way down in this pond. I think the colors do a lot of the work here. I'm not huge on some of the detailing. I will say I think it feels a little bit cluttered. I got a little bit lazy with this mountain. What I'll do is I'll have to add, you know, plenty of trees and upgrade it and modernize it how, you know, my standards are today, but not too bad. But anyway, if you fly all the way back up to the bridge, we can follow along the path here that leads to sort of nothing. There's nothing up here right now. What there is the aftermath of one of my corrupted files. I think this world freaked out a little bit at one time and sort of just messed up the terrain or something. Yeah, you can really see it here. Like, I did not build this. I did not remember building it like this. Luckily, it wasn't a lot, but it was substantial. Yeah, as you can see down here, like, that's not natural either. And since we're already looking down here, I'll show off my moss farm, which I convert a lot of into bone meal. For some reason, the chests aren't rendering, but these chests go pretty far deep into the ground, along with my fuel farm where I get a lot of my fuel from. But anyway, here's another nice view of our castle along with the, you know, the rest of the world, which I think it's an appropriate time to go tour right now. So flying on back down, that's where we just were, was I think right there. Yeah, right up there. Before, I think during the world tour, this whole place was sort of barren. I use that word a lot, but I mean, it was. There were no trees or cherry blossoms or even, you know, the vines that sort of like come down the mountain here, which I honestly should add more of. If we head down this path, which is a very old path, we could either head left down this path, which I think we'll do first, or we can keep heading down straight. But we'll go this way just for, you know, all intents and purposes. All right, so heading up these stairs, this is another build that we made a video on. I'll have it on screen now if you want to go take a look. This place also needs an interior, but the exterior I am ecstatic with. I think this is one of my best builds yet. I'm really, really happy, especially with the colors. It's beautiful. It's very unique. I think the red with the yellow here goes pretty well. And additionally, you get a beautiful view when you walk outside. I love this view, this pagoda here with the castle in the background. Yeah, just look at that. That is great. Instead of heading on back down, what we'll do is we'll bank a left here and kind of cut through all the leaves over here, where I tried to put some detailing into the back of the area here. I added a little rose bush, you know, pasture, I guess you'd call it, where you get a nice view of the bridge here. But anyway, heading on back down, we have our own little bar here that's hidden. There isn't too much going on in here, but it's a nice detail. We also have our, oh, hello donkey. We also have a great view of over here as well that sort of shares similar views to the pagoda we had just showed off. But over here we have a mine, and we have a great view of our Hikari no Machi temple, our City of Light temple. Down here, this is my very original mine where there's a lot of mobs. I'm not going to go down there, but I try to make it a little cool looking with, you know, mine carts, and try to make it look more official, I guess I'm trying to say. If we were to head down here, we get a nice view, some townhomes here, along with the city, which we'll have to tour in a little bit. But it looks like, yeah, it's about nighttime, so this place is pretty much called the City of Lights, so I guess I should do it justice by showing off the view from over here, which I think it's absolutely amazing, especially at nighttime. I mean, both night and day. You can see all the way down to our temple down there. It's just great. I love this place. So over here we have our large pagoda, our second largest, I should say, in this area, because right now there's nothing in there. I just use it as a an enchantment table, and of course Endermen love to place their blocks around here. But we also have a another pagoda over here, which I use as a bone meal farm, or I used to use as a bone meal farm. It's not as efficient anymore compared to my other bone meal farms that I use now, but it does the trick. And if I go in free cam here, I'll show you. It's just a cactus farm that all sort of comes down into a composter right here. So you can probably see every once in a while a cactus will come on down and turn itself into bone meal. Or too many mobs spawn, I'll go ahead and sleep the night away. But anyway, over here is a backside. This is like the only place I think that has natural trees. I built these a while ago, or not built them, but I grew them a while ago and just never got rid of them, which I'm gonna have to do pretty soon. But back here is pretty nice. I have our own jacuzzi or hot tub, however you want to say it. And then if we were to head up these stairs here, this place has an open roof to it with a nice garden on the second floor. I remember watching a lot of Demon Slayer when I built this place, so I think that's where I got a good amount of the inspiration from. If you know, you know. Anyway, if we were to head up this path, we'll go ahead and tour what I think quite a few of you guys have been asking about, which is our temple. Now, this temple is pretty much done on the outside, not very done on the inside. So, I mean, there's going to be a world download. If you want to go ahead and spruce this up yourself, you can. But in a future episode, I will be doing this myself. I think the garden really needs to be redone and revamped. There's just a lot of, you know, questionable things like the moss with the glow berries here. I think it's just, you know, funny how I used to look at things. But I mean, overall, it's not bad. Just needs a little love. And also, I built a statue with our dragon egg on top. I think a couple of my friends that I showed this place to got confused. They're like, why is there a dragon egg up top? But I put it there. Maybe it's like a little hat of sorts. If we head up over here, we can go to our bubble elevator. And this leads us to our, you know, main storage room. Now, I've shown this off a couple of times, but I'm sure there's plenty of you guys who are new to watching this world tour. Basically, the way it works is, let's say, oh, perfect, I have some grass blocks. So let's say I want to put these grass blocks away and just sort them into the grass block chest where I can just find them later on. So eventually I'll put them in the chest. It'll go all the way over here and come up this water stream here in just a second. Yep, there they go. And that will sort of lead through a pipeline all the way down here, a system of pipes. You might be able to see it. No, you can't. But anyway, eventually it comes over here into this chest here. And there you go. You got yourself some grass blocks. You can do that with any of these blocks, and any blocks that aren't like sortable or that I haven't, you know, used very much goes into these excess chests, I guess, where I dump a lot of my random stuff like books, for example. I don't have a chest for each individual enchantment, so they just end up over here. So just in case you sort of lost yourself, to get you back on track, this is where the castle is. This is where that house was that we toured with the wheat field. And here's our jungle valley that sort of leads down this way, and then I wanted to wrap up with the path here. And I just noticed you can really see this creeper farm. I'll eventually have to get rid of it. Or another idea I have might be to build around it, might be like a big pagoda or something here. But I don't know, we'll have to see in a little while. Over here is our blacksmith. This place I use a good amount, especially when I want to upgrade any netherite gear, which could be a little bit difficult now because you need that, you know, netherite tablet, which is pretty hard to come by. Coming down here, we have a house, just nothing special, but it has a nice view. It overlooks the castle and the pagoda and all that. But if we were to come back over here, eventually this path is going to lead down here. I'm not going to go too far into here because there's so many creepers, but actually, no, I do want you to blow up. There we go. I want to make this tunnel that leads all the way down here. Eventually, it'll go into our bridge over here and sort of connect this area of the world to this area of the world, which will be great. So while we're here, I might as well come down and show off the pathways that lead all the way down to the bottom of our town down here. Actually, I don't think this is a pathway yet, so I'll just have to fly, but I have a couple of houses that we can, you know, go ahead and show off. Yeah, this place doesn't have an interior at all. It's pretty much just here for show. But if we were to head back up the stairs here, we have a couple of other houses that don't have an interior either, but they do have a great view of the rest of the world here, which I adore. I said this in the last world tour. I remember saying this distinctly. But I really like these roses. I think they add a lot of color and they really help the place pop out. These houses, yeah, this one doesn't have an interior. Neither did these, but they look pretty nice, so I keep them around. But I try to add little details like this little farmland back here. And of course, you can come all the way down here. You can walk down the stairs and get all the way down to the main town down here. So this place needs a good amount of work still, especially when it comes to interiors and a couple of exteriors. Back here, you can imagine, why is this here? Oh, there's a villager transport back here I forgot about. But anyway, as you can imagine, it's like a garden. You can head back down this way. There's a bunch of alleys around. Over here is my old villager trading hall, which really needs an update. I've got a villager breeder back here where it's a complete overflow of villagers, I'm gonna be honest. Oh my god. But anyway, up here, this is where a lot of the villagers that I trade with are. Over here, we have our bee farm. We got a bunch of honey in here. If we head down over here, we get another view of our pagoda here, which I think looks very nice, along with a couple of buildings in here, which actually did have interiors, but as I was showing in the area down here on top of the mountain, at one point, our world did get corrupted. We lost the interior here. We tried to revamp it a little bit. Down here, I'm going to be putting a nice like restaurant. It was actually inspired by a restaurant I visited when I was in Queens, New York a couple of months ago. It was a cute dessert place down there. But anyway, there's a bookstore in here with some storage up top as well. And additionally, I have a restaurant over here with a cafe up top. I think the cafe up here looks pretty cute, and you get a great view of down in the streets if you see, you know, people walking by or blah blah blah. And there's another store over here which is sort of like a manga shop rather than a traditional bookstore. So you got plenty on display, you got barrels of them, you got, you know, the cashier's desk, and I think the cat. Yeah, where is he? Yeah, here he is. Here's the cat keeper. He's a bookkeeper. You've also got a storage center here where you can, you know, pay, and they'll store your stuff for you up here. And finally over here, we have our little, I guess, like ramen shop or something small, where you can just come in, quickly eat something and leave, maybe if you're late for work or something. And up here we have a little bedroom for the store owners, but there's nothing, you know, too crazy up here. Although I think there's a nice view right here. And I'll also want to show off over here. We have the men's and women's hot springs over here, where you have a beautiful view of your, you know, pagodas here and the temple here. And I also plan to add, you know, bathrooms or changing rooms or whatever, along with the hotel rooms that are up here. But of course, this video has to come to an end at some point. It's already pretty long, I'd imagine. And we come up here after every video is finished. So it's a good way to, you know, show off all the progress that we've made. Now, a couple of people have been questioning my absence. And to address that, basically, I've been recovering from a pretty major surgery for the last 2 months or so. And before that, I was pretty burnt out on the game. So I took a little break, but during my recovery, I had plenty of free time. So I will go ahead and, you know, build tons and tons and really try and expand myself as a builder. But I intend to come back at full force and upload a lot more frequently. There are plenty of projects, as I explained in the video, that we need to, you know, work on. And I think it would be a great idea to do a before and after shot of maybe a year or two ago to now, just to show the sheer amount of progress that we've made in this world. Of course, we have our pagoda, we have the back of our castle, we have our jungle valley. Those are the main 3 big ones I want to say. But anyway, I want to say thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.